Well, welcome back. We're on episode 3, The Gun Show by Mama Bear Defense. I am Shauna Martinez, and we have Crystal Reese with us as well. This is fantastic. Crystal, who do we have as our special person showing up today?
Our special guest, our first guest. Thomas, how do you feel?
It's nice, it's cool to be the first.
The special. I mean, I'm not going to point out that we're on episode 3.
But the thing is, you got to get your footing done,
right?
So episode 3 is a good place to start.
Good beginner. And to tie in with why you're our first and super special guest is the announcement that we were talking about from last week. Is that you're going to be our sponsor, and we just love you. Thank you so much for your vote of confidence with Mama Bear Defense. That was very a happy day, and we appreciate that. So I'm going to introduce you. Yeah, that was awesome. Woohoo! Thank you. So Thomas is Thomas Tower, T-Bird, the T-Man Thomas is the owner of Greyman Solutions. And Greyman, Grey, that's the way we're spelling gray, not Grayey. Greyman Solutions is a Kydex holster company that comes up with solutions to your problems. And he has actually solved my ultimate thigh holster problem. And I'm also so grateful. So Thomas is just the savior of the night. He's just the great man. And he has been doing this for how long?
I've been doing this since 2011.
Just a little while.
Just a smidge.
And he, like I said, he focuses in on Kydex. He is very active on social media. Did you get your 4K?
So I checked earlier today. I've been moving my grandma and trying to get her moved in. And so this weekend has just been ghosting Instagram off and on. But I want to say I was like 100 or 175 away this morning. So I'm almost there.
Okay, everyone. I know you are listening. Go follow Greyman Solutions so we can tip him over the 4K mark. Woo! And then I think you're going to do a giveaway when you do that.
Yes, it's actually a rather huge giveaway. It's probably the biggest giveaway that I've done thus far.
Yeah. What is it?
I've got
three. Is it a surprise?
Three vendors. One is a Weapon Tech's USA gun cleaning kit that I actually kind of discovered a few years ago. I ordered like 5 of them, and I still have some laying around, so I'm throwing one of those in. Active Carry Technology, who's also on Instagram, they have sponsored an IFAC medical kit that they put together, they've got a specific one that they're going to be giving, and then if you don't want that one, you want like an upgraded version, they're going to give you the $65 credit for that on their website. And then I also have Recon Medical, who is the designer of the Recon tourniquet. They actually sent out a tourniquet, and then Condition 1 cases as well. Sent out a couple pistol cases to go in with it. And then we're also giving away a complete carry package. So we're doing one of these super freedom states, be able to just open carry with outside the waistband. I know a lot of people do, but for the majority of the community, it's inside the waistband. But we like to have our outside the waistbands whenever we go to the gun range. So,
when you want to get attention, I have some open carry stuff, and it's just to be obnoxious, so that people will talk about guns with me. But
it can be obnoxious. A lot of my stuff is set up either
be a little more discreet.
Well, not necessarily discreet. It's more set up for duty and tactical use, or it's set up for like hunting. So we can actually carry while we hunt here.
In Oklahoma.
Yeah, out here in Wild Wild West. And so, since we can still carry, Oklahoma is the only place you can have all 4 seasons in one day.
Oh, are you sure? I'm sure you're going to get a lot of other locations disagree.
No, I have no joke. I have started my mornings out hunting before the sun comes up with about 5 layers of clothes on. And then by lunchtime, I'm down to a short sleeve t-shirt, sweating and wiping sweat off of my head, and then going back to freezing that evening whenever it gets dark again.
So you got to be super prepared to hunt in Oklahoma. Nice hat, by the way.
Oklahoma is not the place where you're just like, oh, you know what? I'm going to grab my gun, I'm going to throw some camo on, and I'm going to dip off into the woods for the day. No, you literally have to take a trunk.
So you have to be really fit because you're carrying you on that.
That I know of. So I'm sure somewhere else they get all 4 seasons in one day.
They feel it also. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to talk more. Thank you. Feel free to chime in on our news section if you have thoughts or gun news that you've heard. We're going to get into the gun news, and Shauna, get going.
Oh gosh, yeah. So we're going to start with the list of laws that Biden is presenting of going into office. And in Biden's 3,430 word plan is explained in detail way too much. So if Biden becomes president in January, he plans to, ban manufacture and sales of so-called assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Sorry, I'm so sorry because I'm sure everybody else understands how funny this is, but it's serious. We repeal the Protection of Lawful, Commerce in Arms Act.
So this, you can read the details of that.
This is a federal, see here.
It basically prevents people suing gun owners or gun companies just to waste their money. So bogus suing, he's going to allow people to just sue companies to try to put them out of business. That's what that law is.
The mass shootings we've been seeing at schools, malls, etc. I'm trying to think which one it was. I want to say there was one up in Ohio, I believe. The victims of the family members of the victims actually were trying to sue the manufacturer of the gun company.
So suing Springfield.
Yeah.
Because someone used a Springfield to do something.
They had a Smith & Wesson pistol and a Colt AR that they had stole from their grandpa or whatever. And so they were actually trying to sue Colt and Smith & Wesson for manufacturing a firearm that
a bad person
had
used.
Had nothing to do with the manufacturer as much as it did the human. But they tried to sue them, and basically it actually made it to the first level of court system, and they were like, no, this is stupid. We're not. This isn't even logical, so we're not even going to waste any more time with it. Goodbye.
Except Joe Biden wants to pull that back, and now you can sue a gun company for.
Joe Biden had to write a 3,000-page letter so he could remember what he needed to talk about and pass.
Oh gosh, we try. Yeah. All right. Let's keep talking about it. I'm trying not to bash him, but this is painful. If you're a gun owner, these things are serious. These are painful. And like we've said before, you need to outline that. That's not something you want. Did you know 2 out of 5 gun owners, or 2 out of 5 Democrats are gun owners?
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And they estimated 36 or 33% of the people that say they're left, or people that bought guns, were saying that they lean left. So that's a third of their people, and 2 out of 5 is 40%. So anyhow, yeah, keep
Well,
going on the.
I think that number doesn't surprise me, because the hardcore enthusiasts, the competition shooters, the everyday people that everyday carry, the people that are consistently in sports, yeah, we're open and we're not very quiet about it, but I mean, look at the way the gun sales have been lately. All the mass riots and stuff, and people have realized that, hey, the police, the government, they're not coming. So yeah, you might be on so much on one side or the other side, but at the end of the day, when you realize that it's up to you, that number's going to spike.
Yeah, and the people that already own guns aren't buying guns. Like, we already have our guns. I mean, well, of course we always buy guns, but we're not the new gun owners, right? If you already liked guns beforehand, you probably had one. The new gun owner would be the one who did. All right, let's keep going down the lovely list of horror.
So the next one is buy back the assault weapons and high capacity magazines already owned by law-abiding private citizens.
Oh, so that's a mandatory give up.
Mandatory, you got to give them up. Basically, it's going to be into kind of like what California did, the sneaky snake way, is, hey, by the way, you have your AR-15s, you need to now register them as an assault weapon. So we can come into your home legally now and remove all your weapons from what you have in your possession, no matter what.
All right.
And yeah, so then the next one is to reduce stockpiling of weapons.
Which 5 or more is a stockpile? Or haven't you seen those news articles where they're like, he had an arsenal of guns, and it's like 3 pistols and 2 rifles.
You know how much you could do with a high heel along with a gun if someone's attacking you? You know how many women have high heels? Well, some men have high heels to where that's stockpiling as well. So sorry, my little mind went somewhere else.
Dangerous. No, just kidding. But I don't justify that. That's ridiculous.
No, it's there's no stockpiling. I don't even have it. What would you consider stockpiling? Like,
all of these are open-ended. That's what makes it nervous. It makes me nervous, because like, what's an assault weapon? What's high capacity? Yeah, anything beyond a revolver? Like even in New York, they have a 5-round capacity. So some revolvers are high capacity.
One of our conversations we've had in the past, Stark gun for track and field. Remember the Stark gun?
Oh yeah.
That's going to be on the list for one of the laws to be banned somehow. To the next one is require mandatory background checks on all firearm transfers. Next one is end online sales of firearms and ammunition. Requires
eliminating that.
Yeah, completely, basically shutting down companies from selling online. That's what it's going to do.
You don't sell ammunition though, or guns.
Hey,
yeah.
You know what? They're not gonna, if they manage to get that far in it, they're going to go after gun accessories, gun parts, everything, and that's where I fall in. So you say they're not going to get that far, but people also didn't think that our current president would be anti-gun, and he's the one that eliminated the bump
stock. So, I know. Yeah. Let's
ever say never.
Let's talk partisan a little bit. Even Trump, my husband's biggest thing is that Trump has passed worse laws for gun owners than Obama did.
Yep.
So,
I think some of that boiled down to him trying to appease certain people, because while he's done a number on the gun community, he's done a good number elsewhere
on other communities.
It's
not worth it.
Area.
Stop infringing on our rights. Okay, how many do we have left, Shauna?
Just a couple more. So the next one is going to be, let's see here, require safe storage on all firearms.
I'm okay with that.
I'm in agreement with that. But
You're not okay with requiring like a safe for gun owners?
What defines safe?
Something with a
that's
lock.
It doesn't matter.
so who
The Second
safe
Amendment
storage.
does not say that I have to keep my stuff in a safe location, unloaded at all given times.
I know a
If
lot
I
of gun
have this
owners are going to
sitting, if
appreciate
I have
you.
this sitting on my bedside at
Mhm.
night like this is considered safe to me. Who's to say that's not what they're after, though? So I don't agree with that one.
So let's take it one step further. So who's to say that they're going to say that they want what was it, safe storage? So now can you carry your gun, because is that considered safe storage?
Exactly.
To no longer have a CCW? So I get what Thomas is saying on this. That does make sense.
If you're going to be don't fringe on my rights, you got to be 100% don't fringe on my rights.
I disagree. We're gonna have this debate.
I
And
guess so.
It's good. It's good for us to have this debate, because here's the thing. There are a lot of irresponsible gun owners.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't want to make guns a black or white thing, because a lot of gun owners, especially the noobs, are not black and white. And I don't want to push people out that may not be all in. So I think
no,
it's
I'm just stating that if you're going to throw the words out, do not infringe on my rights, you need to be all do not infringe on my rights. I'm okay with you I have my grandma that I just moved in next door to me. She's 50-50. She'll go, she'll practice. She has her license, but she doesn't carry.
Mm-hmm.
It either stays in her car or it stays in her house in the gun safe. That's it. And I'm okay with that.
But you don't think it should be a mandated. And I think your argument is making, like, you have a valid point that if you believe in the Constitution, you're right. The Constitution doesn't say, oh, you can own a gun only if you have these qualifications. It is a right. However, I would be okay with if you purchase a gun, you actually have to have some proof of a safe or something. But guns come with locks, right? So, and then I'm against a gun registry that already exists. That doesn't exist, but it does. Anywho. So, I mean, I'm on the fence, but that one I wouldn't feel too bad if they forced gun owners to be safer.
But that's the point. I am 100% for requiring some level of training, just like we have for licensing to carry, which I still think is a joke. I think at least for Oklahoma, what we require to have a handgun license is an absolute complete joke. You can
Kansas is really good. So is California.
California's
really good.
I just don't think Oklahoma's is. I've helped teach the classes. I've RSO'd the range section of classes. I've seen some of these people not be able to hit the broadside of a barn at 5 yards, and then the instructor's like, "Here you go," which I don't agree with. And so I'm all for training. I think
it would need to be government sponsored training, though, because training gets expensive.
I don't think it needs to be. I don't think, because at that point, if it's government sponsored, then
you have the government stepping in for their laws to be required to be pushed
exactly,
on us if they're sponsoring
if the government is going to require you to have certain amount of training, then they can require certain amount of guns not be able to be purchased or manufactured, or hollow points to be able to be accessible because they're deadlier.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and that's where it does get, I hate
tricky.
to say it, political and very black and white.
You're right, because once you go down that funnel, if that's my problem with California, is they force you to apply with the state first, and you have to pay $170, and then after that you have to take your other class, and that's about $150 or so, And then you have to renew every 2 years. So you're paying about, $300, and you're paying around $150 a year just to conceal carry if they let you. Who has that kind of money just doing that? Like the lower and middle class, middle class can handle that, but like lower class generally cannot. They're paycheck to paycheck.
And here's another reason of why I don't think anything with the Second Amendment should be government mandated. California actually restricts how much ammo you can buy per month. They actually restrict what guns you can own. If it doesn't make the roster, you can't buy it.
They restrict the roster, but I don't think they restrict ammo.
I don't know what the limit is on purchase of ammo, but I personally have been buying quite a bit. I mean, for me, for practicing as much as I've been practicing, I'm probably buying quite a bit, few hundreds.
Yeah, it's not that they're restricting it yet, but I've seen several laws where they're talking about trying to restrict it to where you're only allowed to buy like 100 a month.
Oh, well, they haven't passed that yet.
If you're restricting how much ammo I can buy, then how do you expect me to
train and get better?
To train and go out and just see if guns are even for me. If I'm not a gun person and I'm looking at it, that's a really expensive hobby by the time that you apply for a license to buy a gun, and then you apply for a license to carry a gun so that you can then go to the store and buy a gun.
It's true. You have to pay to take the test to then buy the gun, and then there's all these fees. You're right. Like, it just makes it so expensive for the new person.
That's where I don't think government mandated training should
or government mandated safes. Okay, Thomas wins. T-Bird wins. 1 point for the T-Man.
Just to throw this in there. So reading on the safe side, it's also possibly can allow a law enforcement to conduct a warrantless, like basically no warrant, to come into your home to actually search of the gun owner's residence.
Absolutely not.
So it's a loophole of adding other things in there under that one particular law. And I'm sorry, but we got to stand by that part of not allowing that to happen, because
okay, you guys win. You win.
Here's the funny thing. We neither one of us agree, but yet we can still have a civil conversation. So let that be a lesson for everybody. Like, you don't have to agree. You don't have to like each other's opinions, but keep it civil and,
discuss it.
Or fail.
Discuss
Be
opinions.
Adults. Responsible, respectful.
I'm so offended. I don't like you anymore.
Just grow up. It's not how it works. That's not how any of this works, okay?
All right, what's the other laws?
So the next one we have is, where's that? Put America on the path to ensure that 100% of firearms sold in this country are smart guns.
That is
so
not
they want
good.
to GPS the guns now? Wow. Okay. The next one is punish adults for allowing minors to have access to firearms. I don't agree with that, because once I know my children are mature enough and they're educated and I know that they're responsible enough to not, they're going to have the access, because if I'm in trouble or my husband's in trouble, both of us are in trouble, I want my children to be able to protect us and themselves. And there was that story
of, I believe he was an 11-year-old and he shot and killed a bad guy who came in. Yeah. He was a little putt-putt.
Yep. I mean, if I'm not home, like, why should my son not be able to defend himself? He's 2 right now. Do I leave stuff openly for him? No.
There you go.
Does he come out here and play with the fake blue guns? Yes, because that is the best thing for him to start interacting with it. We have Nerf guns, but I can tell you, by the time I was 8, I was hunting on my own, and I understand that that's not the way it is for everybody. There's people that get almost all the way up till their 60s before they ever even touch a gun. But
In your family, that's not the case.
But also look at how many single parents we have in America right now. You know, if we've got parents that are working 2-3 jobs just to keep bills paid and food on the table for these kids. And so if they're home by themselves 90% of the time, and even if they're not, even if single mom or single dad comes home and he goes to take a nap because he's been working 17 hours, then that's, I mean,
Yeah.
how
many?
Just to know that
I can't believe this list is still going. We're gonna spend most of our time talking about this.
I'm paying for the time. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Thomas is sponsoring.
So to follow it, they're requiring gun owners to report lost or stolen firearms to law enforcement. Okay,
I think we're supposed to do that.
I know there's
a common sense.
It is, and there's a massive amount of people that have done that here in California, but somehow they suddenly started finding them. So, you know, they dug them up.
Oh, they're lost.
I bought a fish finder.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to know how well it worked. I could pull it right back out of the water.
I almost went woo over my head with that joke. You got it. I got it in the end. I'm like, what? Oh, okay. Yeah, I get it.
It's late for you guys. I'm sorry.
It's actually early for me. I mean, I'm doing usually after midnight. That's where I start tinkering downhill. So
well, then we'll wrap it. Oh, we got 2 more for you guys, and then we'll go to the next one. So the second to last one is close the Charleston loophole. I've never heard this word before.
This one actually seemed kind of, anyway, you can read it.
So according to Biden's plan, the Charleston's loophole allows people to complete a firearm purchase if their background check is not completed within 3 business days. Biden supports the
So what that means is you try to get a gun, and if they take too long to process your background check, you get the gun.
Where is this at?
I'm just Charleston, curious. Virginia. I think that's where it was.
We have that here. We've got a 3-day, and if you don't get a pass through the system.
Here, let me look. Charleston loophole.
Take your gun home?
Yeah. Yeah, I can go to the store, and if I don't get an immediate pass, if I get put on a delay through the NICS system, by Oklahoma statute.
Charleston's South Carolina, FYI.
Right.
Not Virginia. Anywho, whatever. Sorry, keep going.
There could be a city in there.
Virginia. Who knows?
Yeah. So, but for Oklahoma, it's 3 days, and if after 3 days, it's still up to the store's discretion. So if they feel that it was it seemed like it was a straw purchase, or the guy was just kind of shady, they still have the right to deny the sale. But by Oklahoma law, 3 days, and NICS doesn't pass you, then they can sell you the firearm.
Interesting.
I think that's okay. We'll just keep that
Thomas,
there.
how do you feel about that? I mean, what's your, because see, I'm coming from California's side point. I have to wait 10, technically 11 days in order to pick up my firearm.
So
cool-off period, they call it.
I actually used to work at a gun store. So I've actually seen and talked to a lot of people that have this issue. I'm fortunate enough that I've actually never had a delay. I almost always immediately, as soon as my name hits, gets a pass. But there are some people that I know that they're a very common name, and they get hit every single time. Every single time, it doesn't matter what they do, where they go, they get a 3-day delay. And I know cops that get a delay. Cops that get a 3-day delay.
Okay.
I know military.
That makes sense.
I know military personnel that get a 3-day delay. Your people that are getting denied, are getting denied for legitimate reasons.
But do you think this should be a law?
No, I don't. I don't think background checks is the way for gun registration per se, or what
So
should
you think
be.
everyone should be able to buy a gun no
No.
matter what you're...
No, I just don't think that the background checks is the way to do it, because if you go back and you look at some of these people that have done the shootings and done the massacres, they were law-abiding citizens. They passed and bought their own firearms. I don't think my non-criminal background has anything to tell you about whether I am suitable enough to own a firearm. I know people that have been absolutely 100% wrong, on the wrong side of the law, and have come out and changed their minds, changed their ways, have become super, super big in the communities. I mean, I get it. You did the crime. You gotta suffer somewhere. So I'm not saying that's an issue, but I don't think that judging whether I should own a firearm or not off of a background that literally tells you only my criminal history.
But you could argue that that the reason people who are committing crimes with guns didn't have a background of guns is because the background check would prevent bad people with a bad background from purchasing a gun.
Nope. Because there's actually there's actually a website that you can actually post up like, hey, I want to sell this pistol and I want $300.
You're right. That's true. You could do.
There's no background check for it. It's person-to-person meeting. And
that's one of the laws that he's going to try to push through.
Right.
To eliminate that.
Right. But there's no backgrounds for that side of gun sales needed.
So you're right. So a lot of, I mean, if a felon wants a gun, they can get one. And how come we're not seeing a bunch of crimes with that?
You know, it only costs $200 to get your FFL anyway. So if you can pass a background check, you can get an FFL and do whatever you wanted. So, I mean, I don't think the background check system is a fully functional system of determining whether somebody is suitable to. I mean, even when you join the military, they do strict mental, physical. You know, they run everything. So they do psychology tests, and they do all kinds of evals to decide whether or not you're suitable to shoot a gun. I don't disagree with that, because look how many people join the military and they lose their minds and bad stuff happens.
So your argument is it's not as if, I mean, they're super strict in that stance and they're still crazy. It's crazy as crazy.
Yep.
But the one thing I wanted to say is that if we look at the mass shootings that has happened, okay, these are not repeat offenders. These are people that have just fallen off somehow. Could have been from harassment, could have been from bullying, it could have been from anything in their life, and had access to a firearm and took it into a gun zone free area and committed the crime by unfortunately taking innocent lives from that point.
Yeah, they're usually suicidal. Like they want a suicide by cop and they want one last shebang before they do something stupid.
Yeah, but these children. So yeah, that's I can see both sides, you know. I mean, for me as a gun owner, I don't like to wait the 10, 11 days. I mean, okay, I'll do 2. I'll do 3 maybe, you know. I'm cool with that. But for me as a gun owner, I don't have that anticipation of walking in. I'm not, you know, showing signs. I'm not anything. And
let me take it one step farther on not wanting to wait to purchase a firearm. If this will be a touchy subject for a lot of people, but if you get domestic violence cases in suit and they're like, shit, I need a gun. Now you're waiting 10 days. Guess how soon that aggressor is going to be coming back. He's not going to wait 10 days. You know how long it takes to get a protective order? It takes about 10 to 2 weeks, 10 days to 2 weeks. Why should, if I've never broken a law, why should I have to wait 3 days? Why should I have to wait 10 days to purchase a firearm, to protect myself, to protect my kids, my family, my hard earnings? Like, so you can even push it a step up.
How many do we got? One more? Or was that the last one?
Just one more. Just one more on the top. So give states incentives to set up gun licensing programs. So I guess Biden will enact legislation to give states and local governments they're arguing that citizens should not have a license to express a constitutional protection of fundamental rights. So basically, we shouldn't have to be licensed to carry a gun as our Second Amendment.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like how Chicago just eliminated protesting is no longer allowed in Chicago because of the riots and the murders that they're having. But I'm like, you just took away the First Amendment.
They're laying the foot down?
They just said it today or yesterday.
But yeah, owning a gun isn't a privilege like driving a car, it's a right.
Mm-hmm.
But who's supposed to be enforcing that?
Speaking of privileges, let's talk concealed carry. So let's get into holsters sometime in this podcast. Oh man, this is going to be called the gun debate. Thank you, Biden, for making us all angsty. So reasons you would want a holster are for concealed carry, but also if you're just on your home and in your property, you can carry your gun on you. Mm-hmm. And I am going to show a video of a horrendous what happened to a woman who was just at home. It's an act of self-protection.
For anybody that's sensitive.
You can see the mom here.
Yes, it's sensitive. We're watching a video from Act of Self-Protection on YouTube. And if you have sensitive eyes or ears, maybe fast forward a little bit.
On the right, and you can see her young child sitting on the couch here. There's a baby upstairs as well. And if you go read the news story, her garage door is open and she hears the garage door, the interior garage door open, and she realizes, oh no, she's in trouble, as what we're going to see here. As this man walks in and hits her so hard there with a left hand, and now he is just all over her. And that is one of the most vicious attacks that I've ever seen that just involved hands and fists. And you see her try to get up there, but she's badly concussed, and every time she tries, he just kicks her in the face, or he punches her again, or he chokes her and he knocks her down and hits her again while he goes and gets valuables from the home. And she tries as hard as she can, but he just keeps on top of her and keeps coming back to her. And finally here, what we see is he throws her down a flight of stairs into the basement, and then he's going to leave the house. And if you go read the news story in the description, this man was just recently sentenced to life in prison for this attack. And I think rightly so. Thank God the only saving grace here is he didn't harm the children.
Okay, so in that video, she has time. You see her looking and she's looking. If she had a holster on her and she knew how to properly use it with some training, right? Like shoulda, woulda, coulda, there was time where she could have shot the piece of crap and not had that. I'm amazed that the toddler stayed on the couch the whole time. I mean, they were just frozen in fear. And that's just an example of why you would want a gun on you in your home. A lot of people think, oh, I'm out of my home, or I just have my gun on my fridge or whatever it is. But I really want people to consider carrying a gun when they are at home on them as well. Yeah, go.
On that note, so it's estimated that 3.7 million burglaries occur each year on average from 2003 to 2007. Put some statistics on it, so it kind of brings it into a better perspective for people.
That's a lot of burglaries.
That's a
And
lot.
it's not on the, I mean, some of them are on the street, but most of them are at your house.
So roughly 1 million of those had people present while the burglaries were happening. 266,000 of those
burglary is a
became,
house, so all of those are home. Robbery is elsewhere. So anyhow, just clarifying.
yeah. So 266,000, 100,000 of those became victims of violent crime.
What?
That's
So
100,000.
266.
100,000 of those became violent crimes.
And that's your home. Burglary.
That's in your home.
Like,
That's
they're
in
your home.
in your bubble that is supposed to be 100% safe in your head.
Mm-hmm.
It is supposed to be 100% safe. It is the one place for you, for the kids, for anybody that comes in and is welcome to just release. And here we have, 27% of a yearly crime rate that home has been violated. That home has lost its security,
Yeah.
and they were occupied and became victims of violent crimes within their own home.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and I think Crystal's absolutely right. Where we should, as husband, wife, doesn't matter, should learn to carry, because thankfully I wasn't home back in 2009 in my apartment, leaving my back window open by mistake. My apartment got tossed, guns stolen, jewelry taken. So that was basically about a month before moving to Texas. And it's not pretty. California has more crime than people understand they have because it's not reported. And the home invasions are insane.
Ones.
Right. It's insane because I remember just a few years ago how many home invasions started down in Orange County. Okay, Orange County is supposed to be the prestigious neighborhood, nice families hanging out, barbecuing together. No, there's people actually following children home with the mothers at home, and then comes to the door as soon as the child walks into the house and opens the door and walks in to do crime. It is just sickening on what's happening, and we need to be able to stand up for ourselves, to defend ourselves for that reason.
So I think the purpose I really wanted to get with this is I hear, or a lot of people would think, I don't need a holster. I'm not a concealed carry holder. And what we are telling you is you need a holster because you are going to carry, if you have a handgun and you want your gun for home defense, you're going to start practicing concealed carry in your home. Or it can even be open carry in your home. You're going to start carrying, we suggest, this is what we're suggesting, that you start carrying a gun on you in your home. And that's where Tommy comes in.
Even when you're new to concealed carry,
mm-hmm.
a lot of people aren't comfortable carrying out in public yet because they have not become comfortable with this new burden that we've tasked upon ourselves as armed citizens. And it's a burden.
You feel weird the first time. You're like, oh my gosh, everyone can see it.
It's like driving a car for the very first time. It is absolutely nerve-wracking. You're subconscious as much as you possibly can. You're trying not to think about it because you're trying to go on, but that's literally all you can think about. It's like the grocery list, while trying to draw up a grocery list while you're in the store. It never works. And so the home is where you're going to get comfortable at it. And I've even told people, like, look, wear it at your house, because the best part about wearing it at your house is if it becomes uncomfortable, take it off. Give yourself a break. If you were brand new to running marathons, you would not go run a 5K right out the back. You're gonna be happy if you make it down the block and back to your house.
Yeah.
Carrying a gun is no different. You know,
Ease
you've
into
got to
it.
you've got to pace yourself. It's not a sprint. It's
I
definitely a
love
marathon.
that. We should start teaching that, Shauna.
Yeah,
Hold
I
on.
know, and it's actually very true because I started actually with the purse, concealed carry purse, and it was designed for you to be able to use it from within
Me
the
too.
purse.
I started
And then
with
I
the
went
purse,
from
too.
the purse to the actually carry, and the first one I ever bought was a corset. And then as I gradually started learning more,
Oh.
and I got some of the couple of different other carriers on me, but in the waistband and things like that. I mean, there's more I want to buy because there's more guns I want to purchase, but
An
Yeah,
expensive hobby.
I did. I too
very.
started with the purse, and I didn't like it, but and I didn't carry loaded in the purse. I carried unloaded in the purse. Well,
Interesting.
nothing was chambered, so I had the magazine in there, but I would still have to actually chamber the
Right.
round had I came into a situation.
Interesting.
Based off of time, I think we are going to have to schedule another time where we talk kydex with T-Bird over here, because we have had such good combos. But I do want to finish. Any thoughts on holsters or carrying in the home, or why you would want a holster? I want to finish out that topic.
If holstering at the house is just as important as having the gun in the first place. We want
Accessibility
we want to
to
talk
your
about
gun.
accessibility. We want to talk about safety, obviously. I would not feel comfortable with just having an open firearm like this just laying around, because even on the nightstand, there's people that sleepwalk, there's people that flip-flop, and bam, you hit it. There's been studies where some guns go off when they fall. I don't, you might be reaching for your phone, and here's your gun and here's your phone, and then all of a sudden, boom, you've done something that every gun owner absolutely fears of doing, and that's accidental discharge.
I've done it, so there we go.
So even with something as simple as the mini here, that covers the trigger. That's what it's.
And how
designed.
much is that? How much is your retail?
They start out at 25. So this exact setup is 25. It features.
And describe the setup for people who don't understand, who are listening.
So this was designed as a bare minimalist holster setup. It was designed strictly for keeping the trigger covered.
Trigger protection and retention.
Yeah. It offers a little bit of retention, offers trigger protection, and so we set it up to where it comes standard with the Ulti-Clip, because what we've started seeing, and even Crystal reached out to us and was like, hey, here's the issue that I'm having with my firearm is I'd like to carry it in these positions with this equipment, but there's nothing protecting my trigger. So that's where this came in, and we wanted to keep it very, very minimalist, very slim, very sleek, but also very affordable. There's a few other companies out there that make them, and we're actually priced a little bit cheaper than they are for getting.
Significant, not a little bit, significantly cheaper. So, I mean, anyone who, like, if you don't have a holster, $25, guys.
Yep.
Really zero excuse.
And this is small enough, even that case that your pistol comes in from the store, you can still put it on there. You can still put it in there. It doesn't take up any more room. For those of you that can see, it's literally just the same. It's within the same profile. If you put that in a box, it's within the profile of the gun. And so that's very important. But even for regular inside the waistbands, they're still within the same profile of the gun, and that's the difference between accessibility and safety that you don't typically have without a holster.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Do you have you were saying, do you have holsters for storage in the home?
I think honestly, I think any holster can be used as storage in the home.
Mm-hmm. If you find the right location and place for it.
Yep.
Ideally, we're locking them up, right, guys?
Right.
Of course.
Ideally,
Actually, yes.
Now, I mean,
Yes.
there are some states that they require you to actually lock them up. But yeah, I mean, for them, you know, there's setups out there that, like the QLS.
I've seen them on the bed. That's why I was just wondering if you do something.
Yeah, and so we've got
And you
setups
could.
with the QLS systems where you've got a female plate and a male plate that come off, so you can actually bolt the female plate to like your dresser or to a wall or to the inside of your gun safe, and then you can actually take that, slide it in, take the female side that's mounted on the holster, slide it in, and now it's locked in to where you want it. Otherwise, you can get a second male plate and you can put it on your belt with a tech lock or molly or something like that, and then you can take this from your wall mount to your belt, and you kind of be able to interchange setups. And what that also allows you to do is, if you have multiple pistols, like most of us enthusiasts do, we've got multiple firearms. And as Shauna was saying, which means multiples of this and multiples of that.
Yep.
So whenever you start looking at holster options, this allows you to set up that competition rig or set up that hunting rig, or even set up your home security rig. If you're home and you like a semi-automatic, you can have the semi-automatic there. But if you decide, oh, I'm not going to be there because I've got to go out of town for work or whatever, so it's just going to be my wife likes a revolver, you take yours off, you put hers in, and now that setup is still set up for her, but it's still a quick changing system.
And you only need, so I guess we are getting into holsters. Here we go. This is fun. So
well, look, we can always cut this one short and then go do
and expand. No, I love that. I didn't know you provided that. So essentially, this is hard for listeners, but what usually you would need a holster, and in the waistband holster for your 1911, and then in the waistband holster for your.
Well, your inside still have. Oh, that's a flashbang over there. I'm not gonna.
It's what I have right now, and I apologize. I'm looking through yours because there's ones I want to buy, but I gotta have my other ones in order to buy.
But each of those are their own systems, and for every gun you would need 3 holsters or whatever system it is. So what he's saying is you would only need 1 shell, and then for that gun, and you can put it in all these different systems. And then if you get another gun, instead of getting 3 new shells, you only need 1 shell for the other gun, and you can still use it with the system you already have in place.
Right. So you still have to have the holster itself.
Mm-hmm.
However, let's try to think of an analogy here.
I have one. Cell phone chargers. You have your cell phone.
Exactly. Yep.
And how many places do you need to charge your phone? Your car, your office, your bedroom, your living room in some cases, you know. So the piece that you're speaking of, the female piece, I believe you said it was, that could be mounted
itself. Right. The cell phone.
You could, right. And then meanwhile you can switch them out.
That's cool.
It's a system that, you know, works very well for a lot of people that have enthusiasm.
Could it be in the waistband? Not yet.
Yes and no. The problem with the inside the waistband and trying to do something like that is usually because the inside the waistband puts the gun between the belt and you, and as to where the outside the waistband puts
the positioning
between the gun and you, so it pushes the gun a little bit farther away, which allows you to get a good grip. As to where with the inside the waistband, there's a few different styles out there that you can choose from, and you could do it, but the the grip is not going to be as efficient.
Mm-hmm. And it might rotate the positioning. So you have a right hand grip on the wall, and then you put it in the waistband, and now it's a left hand
Exactly.
grip.
And so the quick interlock changing system is great for an outside the waistband application.
Yeah.
But inside the waistband. But the thing to also consider too with holsters is they're much like your clothes. You're not going to wear your work boots to a business meeting in a high rise. You're going to wear a suit and tie. So you've got to have, just like you've got dedicated clothes for dedicated events, you need to have dedicated holsters for dedicated carry styles. There are systems out there that are one size fits all. Mm-hmm. There's clothes out there that say they're one size fit all, but everybody knows that one size does not fit all. It just doesn't. And so you have to keep that in mind with holsters too. Is you need to have a dedicated holster to that dedicated style. The benefits of having the dedicated holster are going to be concealability, comfort, and to get that you don't have to sacrifice size for concealability. The biggest thing in my book is comfort. Comfort should always come first. If it's not comfortable, you're not going to carry it, so it doesn't matter what it looks like and what size it is. I know there's people out there that still run some of the hybrid style holsters that are a foot wide, and it's comfortable for them. That's great. That's what I care about. Is it comfortable? You go shop for cars, you're going to make sure that vehicle is comfortable for you. Holsters should be the exact same way. If you're looking at a holster, look at the shipping and return policies. That's the big thing. You
can't
can go
try it beforehand.
You can't test drive a holster. So you're going to have to buy the holster, and then if it's not good for you, what most people are going to do is they're going to toss it in a drawer, and then they're going to go buy another holster, and then that puts a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
We actually have a 30-day guaranteed satisfaction policy. So we give you an entire month to run that holster, and as long as you haven't chopped it up, you hadn't ran it over, you hadn't just destroyed it to where it's not a resellable product, we will actually take it back. No questions asked, 100% refund, or we will give you, I've had people like, hey, I bought a 43 because the 19 wasn't comfortable. Can I send this back? Absolutely. Would you like a holster for your 43? We'll swap them out as long as you're within that 30 days.
That's awesome.
Look at the shipping and return policies. Myself and one other company that I work very closely with, Alpha Omega Kydex, he's based out of Texas. We work hand in hand on a lot of stuff, and that was one of the things that we kind of collaborated on was a shipping and return policy that really, really truly put the end value at the customer level.
Yeah, that's huge. I love that. I didn't know that either. Look, I'm learning all sorts of things about Greyman Solutions.
There's a lot that goes into a quality holster, and some of those things are simple as control blocking. Ejection ports where the bullets come out.
Oh, okay.
If you see a dimple in there, that is not a quality holster, because what they're doing is they're actually using that as a retention point. Your retention point should be coming off your trigger guard if it doesn't have a light. If it has a light, the retention should be coming off of the body of the light, whether it's where it mounts to the gun, whether it comes off of the body of the light. There are some lights out there that are super slick and super sleek that don't really provide a good retention point. And so that's off of the body itself. And so that's where you have to still find a good retention point, but you don't want to be using like the ejection port, pardon myself. or like the safeties. You know, your 1911 styles, they've got the bigger thumb safeties on them, and that's not a retention point. The biggest issue with that is it's unreliable. It tears your firearm finish up super quick. It tears your holster up super quick. And so, you know, those are some of the biggest pet peeves that myself and even Alpha Omega constantly complain about when we see some of these newer companies kind of starting to come up. And we've all done it and we've all learned. But the difference is not all of us started doing holsters back in 2011 when the Kydex market really started picking up as a DIY option. It doesn't take much to do holsters as far as supplies, but it takes a lot of tooling. It takes a lot of practice to make a quality, comfortable holster. I still have some of my holsters that I pull out every once in a while for show and tell, just to show how piece of crap work that I used to do, and I was super proud of it.
The progression that you do.
Yes, absolutely. And adjustable retention. That's the other one. It needs to be adjustable. The minis, they're not adjustable. We don't want them to be adjustable because of their minimalist design. They need to be a set retention where they have a solid hold, where they're not going to flop out. That's why this one is actually laying here, because it didn't pass my test, because it's too loose. And so it didn't get a good heat. It didn't press. It didn't pass QC. So it's actually sitting over here kind of as a product display per se. So adjustable retention is crucial, because I like my retention super stiff.
So do you have an example of an adjustable retention?
Yes. So there's two screws sitting right here in front of the rail underneath the trigger guard. There can be one screw, there can be two screws, there can be three screws. As long as there are some screws right here with rubber washers spacing the retention out. So what that does is you're actually reducing how much molding below the trigger guard there is, and you're increasing the retention by sucking the Kydex in tighter on that trigger guard. As to where the mini, there's no space. And so you get a heavy deformation in underneath the trigger guard, and so that's a set retention.
Can the customer adjust it?
Yes, and that's why in my opinion, as well as Alpha Omega, that it is a critical piece of a quality holster. Because, like I said, I might like it super tight. You might like it to where it just barely clicks whenever it drops in. You might like it to where...
So you just take a screw and
they're
loosen it and tighten it?
They're Phillips screws. We go with Phillips because you literally can use almost anything on a Phillips screw. You can take the little nail scraper of your nail clippers and stick it in there and tighten and adjust it. If you don't have nail clippers, I mean, I can understand if you don't have a Phillips screwdriver, but almost everybody has nail clippers.
You can have change in your car. You got nickels, you got pennies, dimes can even fit in there.
Quite get that far, but you've got keys, and you can actually take your key and stick it in there. It's a slow process, but you know there's
it's accessible
of accessibility. Exactly.
Very nice.
Adjustable.
I really like that mini. Is your mini on? Is it online?
Yeah.
Do you have them on?
Actually, I'm going to show you the website right now. His website. You go to Greyman Solutions.
Ooh, look at that.
So awesome.
And then you can go to products, and it would be which one?
Inside the waist.
Inside
the waist.
Yep. So we set up the website to where it was super quick and easy. So if you go to Inside the Waist, it's going to go to Inside the Waist.
Okay.
What are you on? Is that?
Gun
Not
model,
it. That is
color
not it.
options. But this isn't the mini.
Right. So go to
Like,
products.
I know it's in there.
Go to
I'm like, what's this Mama Bear Defense in here? Oh
That's
yeah, the holster, the
it's a little
trays.
little tray swag.
Northern.
Go to the home screen. Just click on the Greyman Solutions logo,
Right.
and then scroll down.
Oh, okay. So
And
you
then
just
click.
need to scroll down.
Yep. Go back up. There you go. Inside the waist. And then scroll down, and you have all of our inside
Here's
the
the
waist
mini.
options. Whether it's the basic inside the waistband, the shadow, which is the dedicated.
So you don't have to mess with products. All you do is go there and scroll down.
Nice.
And
Yep.
there's the
I
mini.
really like that mini.
I freaking love it too. Although mine didn't have this little add-on here.
Correct. So we
Fancy
didn't
claw.
put the concealment claw on yours
Because mine was a prototype.
well, it was a prototype, but the claw does provide some issues with
With thigh
and
and
thigh
belt.
holster.